Nursing students, time to talk. I think I'm on like take 45 now. So welcome to the Real Talk School Nursing Podcast, Season 4, Episode 6. I am your good and faithful host, Michael Smith. Thank you for continuing to subscribe to the show. You can support the show directly on our Patreon account at www.patreon.com/realtalknursing and gain patron benefits such as early content, shoutouts, special swag, and more. You can write it in the show at realtalknursing@gmail.com or use Facebook Messenger or contact us through Instagram or Twitter to share your experiences, ask questions, and give feedback. Thank you very much for supporting our friends, affiliates, and sponsors. Thank you to everyone who started following us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. More listeners means more and better shows. Make sure to share the episode with classmates and especially underclassmen and cohorts. Let's give a hand up to those who are coming behind us and welcome them to our community of fun, engaged, and supportive nursing students and nurses. Don't forget to reach out and tell us if you have any announcements for graduations, good grades, difficult tests, friends you want to help congratulate, and your announcement will be featured on the show. If you like the show, the Real Talk School Nursing Podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Libsyn Web Player, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. So, go to wherever you download podcasts, subscribe, rate us, review us, right into the show, and smash that subscribe button. Remember to leave only 5-star reviews because that's the only ratings that count to get us noticed by more nursing students. I want you to be part of this crazy nursing school journey. So, thanks everybody for coming on and being so patient. It's been, it's been a month. So, a couple of just admin things. I'm just kind of doing this off the cuff. You'll notice that some of the names and some of the numbers have changed on episodes. And part of that is because I'm trying to be more organized about how I'm doing each one of the episodes and renumbering them a little bit and making sure that I'm, separating, seasons and episodes, but still keeping that the number of episodes available. So keep listening to the very end of the podcast because eventually we're going to be doing the I'll do the announcement for the giveaway and the rules for that and things because of Facebook and how all that stuff is working is a little bit more complicated than it used to be. Part of that, I'm not sure why, but people can't like the page anymore if you're in the United States. People from other countries can for some reason. Like if you live in Zimbabwe, for some reason you can like my page. But if you live in Boulder, Colorado, or, New York, or if you're in Pasadena, California, apparently you cannot like the page unless, you like a post and then it get invited by me, or once you're invited, then you have to actually go to the page, and then it'll remind you that you need to like or that you have been invited, and then you can actually like the page. It's very strange. Additionally, I think if you see, because I post stuff every once in a while in some of the nursing groups, the nursing student groups that I belong to, I'll post stuff in there, and I think from there that'll have a little badge at the top where you can click and like, but I'm not really sure why that's the case. It doesn't make any sense to me why it's so difficult on Facebook to just like something rather than just follow it. So if you're just following, because that was the only option that you had, go over to the normal page, actually go to the page, and it should have some kind of a notification on the front of it where you can see it, and then, hey, you've been invited to like the page, and then you can. So just a thing. So let's get going. Okay, so enough with the admin stuff. Let's get going with the prereq stuff. So prereqs, this writer wrote in and said, my grades weren't always great, but my core prereq classes were pretty solid, and The problem is that they had a dip in their GPA when they were at the end of their pregnancy. And now that person is applying for nursing school, but concerned that the grades might keep them out of nursing school. And, what advice do I have? And so first off, the fact that you're going to school and you were pregnant and now you have a newborn is absolutely incredible. And I think a little bit crazy, not like stupid crazy, but like amazing. I think I talked about it before, but my cohort had like 4 kids born during nursing school, and I cannot understand how that's possible. The first 6 months of having my twins, it's a good thing we have pictures because I can't remember anything. Like I remember very little except some standout moments. One of them in particular where I asked God for help because both kids were awake at the same time, and it was really difficult to feed one and burp one at the same time because they ate at different rates. And so if you stopped one or stopped the other, one would either cry like you were peeling their skin off or something like that. Like my son would cry if you, whatever. He was very, very intense, and he's still a very, very intense boy. And my daughter, if you didn't burp her effectively right away, she would throw everything up. And when there's 2 kids at the same time, that milk is like gold. So you don't waste anything. And so anyway, I remember that night specifically where I looked up to the sky, literally looked up to the sky and was like, God, I can't handle both kids up at the same time. And one of the few times in my life where I can recall that God answered my prayers and said, okay, you got it, buddy. Mr. Smith, you now have kids who are on opposite sleeping schedules. And so they would go back and forth. So there was always one kid up. And I'm reminded on occasion now that I need to be careful what I wish for. And so that was the lesson that came out of that. But anyway, so we had 4 kids born in my cohort, and then one that came in later. But anyway, so mad respect for you if you are pregnant or you have a newborn and you're going through school. That's incredible. I don't know how I would do it. I think I would probably not do it if I had any control over that. So, but anyway, so the advice about having grades that are less than great or less than maybe you were hoping for those grades. So for most programs, I think you have the option of retaking a class. So if you really need to retake the class, nursing and nursing programs are usually pretty forgiving about that kind of stuff. There are a couple programs that I've heard about where you can't retake it. Like if you get a C, it's not accepted and you can't retake it. So basically, if you get a C in one prereq class, you're out of nursing school for that program. You can't even apply. It's basically pointless. And I don't think that's right, but it is what it is. That's their rules. So nursing schools can kind of do whatever they want in that sense. But if I can suggest for others who may listen to this, this is what, within your application, this is what your letter of introduction or your cover letter is kind of for. If you have some grades that aren't awesome from your past, say things like, I had classes like that. I had a class that I did pretty crappy in, and I just said, in my undergrad, I didn't always take academics as seriously as I should have. And then, but when I found nursing, blah, 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 blah. Or you could say, in this specific circumstance, you could say, I had a very tough pregnancy. I had extra appointments and, being a new mother while in nursing school presented many challenges that I learned so much from. And so you can, don't hide from that. Take the issue head on. Grades, as a general rule, grades aren't everything. There's more to nursing school applications than just grades. Your character and who you are and what you've learned from your life really matters. I didn't have great grades, and again, for the gazillionth time, I was the least academically gifted person in my program. I had some people who had never gotten less than a 4.0. That was like the low point of their academic career, was a 4.0. Through high school, through their bachelor's programs, for some of them, through a master's programs. This was like their second, go around as far as education goes. There's other things that matter other than just your grades. If you volunteer, if you're a mom, there's tons of things that I think that are translatable, saying, I you could say things like, as a parent, I understand how much work and how much dedication it takes to take care of someone else, where my needs are secondary to the needs of others. And I think motherhood or parenthood is one of those things that can teach that, and teaches that so well. I think in the end, I think it's important for you to just say, make sure that you're living your life in such a way that your grades are the least important aspect of your application. And if you can't, make sure that you can write a really good story to spin that to your advantage. So, hey, you don't have time because you're, I don't know why, you haven't done much volunteering. Okay, well, but you work full-time, or you work 30 hours a week, and you're in high school and you live on a family farm, or you help take care of your grandma, or whatever the deal is. Like, those things matter. I don't want you to dismiss those things. They're really important. And again, no matter what is going on, that's what that cover letter, that's what the letter of introduction, that's where you should take these issues on, and you should take these issues on head on. Go right at it. I don't have a perfect past. I don't have a perfect academic, record. I don't have, blah, blah, blah. Whatever your issue is, just take it head on. Don't let them discover it later on and be like, oh, well, we thought this was completely different, blah, 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 whatever it is. Just make sure that you're living your life, or can write about your life in such a way that your grades are the least important aspect of your application. And I think from there, that's where I'm going to end it. And let's go hear from one of our sponsors.
Nursing Student Ground, this is Real Talk 6, ready for taxi with Romeo Papa Hotel, downwind departure. Roger, Nursing Student Ground, taxi to 31 right via Zulu. Nursing students, do you want to become an RN and think someday you'd like to be a flight nurse? How can you make this happen? What's the best flight path to make this dream, inside the dream of being an RN, a reality? If this has any interest for you, you should go out and buy the Flight Nurse Bible, a field guide to awesomeness by Robert P. Harris, BSN, RN, CFRN, CTRN, TCRN, CEN, CPEN, CNPT, CCRN. Here's Nurse Rob reading a selection from his book. You can also hear the full two-part interview with Nurse Rob from Season 4, Episodes 2.1 and 2.2, published in December 2019 on the Real Talk School of Nursing podcast.
There are billions and billions of people on this beautiful blue planet, and we are all spinning through space together for the entire term of our short lives. These facts should not depress you or make you feel small. These facts should inspire and empower you to look around the world and see the many ways you can make a positive impact with your existence. If there is a greater purpose to life, it must be to serve one another passionately and alleviate suffering. We must also attempt to live as intelligently, courageously, and joyfully as possible. Semper Fi, blue skies, vaya sin Dios. Oh, and one more thing, no matter what you do not walk into a tail rotor.
Nurse Rob has a great preview on the book on Amazon.com, and you can connect with him directly on LinkedIn by searching for Robert P. Harris. Check him out. Check flight path.
You're listening to the Real Talk School of Nursing podcast.
Okay, so welcome back. So let's go through some, I have several nursing school issues to attend to. So one of the things, and this is the first one, so I think I'm probably going to get a little bit fired up over this one, because this one really got to me. Like it was, all right, so here it is. So my family, I'm quoting, "My family is blaming me for being selfish and spending too much time focusing on just me, even though I'm off at school. And as a last semester student with 2 jobs, president of a club, and capstone clinicals feeling like a 3rd job, I'm absolutely slammed with work. I'm not feeling like my best self, and I've just been battered constantly with what I feel is a lack of support. I might end up losing one of my jobs because of time constraints. I honestly feel like this last semester is slipping away from me because of all of my stressors, and it's only the 3rd week. What can I do to keep my head on straight? I woke up this morning to texts claiming that I'm being selfish, and now my mindset for the day is so down, I don't know what to do to pull myself out of it in order to focus." So, oh my God, like, if this if this kind of issue doesn't, like, seriously get your I'm so angry about this. I really am. It's very frustrating, because I think Nurse Rob and I talked about this in our episode together, or in one of the 2 episodes that we did together about haters, quote unquote haters, about how when, people who have done absolutely nothing with their life, they see somebody who's actually doing something, actually going out and, dragging something back to the cave, they're going out and they're fulfilling some kind of destiny. They're working hard, and they're doing something to improve their lot in life. Like that should be something that we should all aspire to. But there are people out there who they see someone else trying to improve their life, and they can't help but hate it. They hate it. And they're so used to being the center of everybody's attention that when they are no longer the center of your attention, they're jealous. And they're not just jealous of you because you're improving your life. They're jealous of the time that you're spending somewhere else. And that just makes me, that should make you angry. So, but additionally, some of this has to, because we can't do anything about family, right? We can't do anything about those family members who are going to act like complete jerks. You can't do anything about that. The only person that you can do anything about is you. It's your responsibility to take care of the things that you need to do. And there's things that you need to do in order to make sure that your head is on straight. You can't change others. You can't. You can't change how others feel. The only thing that you can change is you and your reaction to it. So here's my question. Are you willing to give up a future as a nurse for a part-time job? Are you going to quit this job after you become a nurse? If you are, jettison it. Gone. If you don't think, if you're in your last semester of school and these things are inhibiting you from graduating, get rid of them. Get rid of the jobs. Out. Done. Are you going to keep those jobs once you graduate? No? Okay. Jettison. Gone. Gone, 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 gone. If you're not, quit school now. Save yourself the money. Save yourself the money, save yourself the trouble. Don't pay for your NCLEX. If you're not willing to give up a part-time job in order to graduate nursing school, quit. Quit. That's real talk. And I don't mean that to be harsh. I mean, I do, but I'm not saying this so I sound like a jerk and I'm being harsh on you or harsh on anybody who's in these same circumstances. But you have to be able to give up the part for the whole. We talked about that in some of the past podcasts, some of the past episodes where it's the monkey who puts their hand into the jar and won't let go of the fruit inside the jar to save their life. That's why you can catch a monkey with a narrow-necked jar and some fruit. Because once they put their hand in it, they can't let go of the jar. They can't let go of the fruit to save themselves. They won't sacrifice the part for the whole. And I feel like that's what's going on here. If you're worried about this job where like you're not as dedicated as you used to be to this part-time job. Yeah, well, I'm in my last semester of nursing school, so take it or leave it. Like this is what I can do for this job. I still show up. I'm still on time. I'm still doing the requirements that you have. I'm just maybe focused on something else. And if they can't see that, see ya. Done. Done. Easy. The president of the club thing, that's another one of those things where it's like, okay, does this club help you graduate school? Because if it's not, it's a distraction and you need to get rid of it. If you're doing preceptorship clinicals, you're doing 2 different jobs, you're taking care of family members, and you're the president of a club, and none of those things help you graduate. None of those things are insurance to make sure that, like, if one of your jobs provides benefits, obviously that's something that you're going to try to keep, if you can maintain that. But a club, I'm sorry, I don't care if it's the nursing club. I don't care if it's blah, 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 whatever. I am not staying the president of a club if that is distracting me from actually graduating. That's a distraction. It's something that you need to jettison from your life and get rid of. Anything that stands in the way of you successfully graduating nursing school on time, jettison. Done. Gone. Out. For a period of 2 to 4 years or 18 months or however long nursing school is for you. I think Nurse K, her program, because it was a post-bac accelerated, so I think hers was 16 months, if I recall. So between 16 months and 4 years, anything that stops you, anything that inhibits you from graduating successfully, get rid of. Cut it from your life. So let's talk about some of the family thing. My question will be for that, will your family be happier when you can focus on them instead of setting yourself up to be a financially independent person for the rest of your life? If that's true, if they are going to be happier with you taking care of them instead of you setting yourself up for success. I mean, it's not like you're going and you're I don't know, working a ticket stand or something, I mean, I'm not poo-pooing other people who have, weird odd jobs or something like that while they're going through nursing school. I'm not downplaying the as Mike Rowe would call dirty jobs. Like if you work on a turkey farm or something like that, it's kind of a nasty, kind of stinky job. But if that's what it takes to help you get through nursing school, great. I don't want to downplay or discourage people from doing those kinds of jobs. Thank God people are willing to do those kinds of jobs. But if they would rather you do this, if you'd rather your family would rather you be a gas station attendant for the rest of your life, rather than you going out and graduating nursing school and you being able to financially be independent for the rest of your life, I think it's your family who's being selfish. But that doesn't mean, you don't need to do some life editing. if you're in school, focus on school and focus on everything you can, to get through it. Sometimes even family will look at what you're doing for self-improvement, and because they haven't done anything with their lives, or because you're doing something with yours, they'll accuse you of being selfish and put roadblocks in your way. They, as Nurse Rob would say, they're being haters, and you shouldn't let them steer you away from your goals. So there it is. All right. So question 2, next issue. This person writes in, says, I'm in my first year. Can you tell me about UWorld? Should I invest now and use the practice questions throughout the year, or wait right before the NCLEX? If you're a nursing student, you need to focus on nursing school. Okay? Don't get UWorld. Number one, UWorld and a lot of those other resources, they're great for a very short amount of time. You should be taking between 4 and 6 weeks to get ready for your NCLEX. I wish I really actually should have all the prices up for UWorld to answer this question. But if you're in your first year and you're in a 2-year school, for you to maintain UWorld for a 1 to 2 year period would be prohibitively expensive and kind of pointless. I mean, I think it's completely legitimate for you to go out and buy like the Saunders Prep course book or NCLEX Prep book. That is a great resource, and you don't need to buy the newest edition. Just any of them would be great to help you get through school, because I think Saunders, even though it's like 7 or 8 inches thick, those books are like humongous. If it shows up in the NCLEX, it's going to give you information about it, and frankly, that will actually help you get through nursing school, because you'll have this one book that basically has everything in it. And I think that's a good resource for getting through nursing school. I would not do UWorld. I wouldn't do NCLEX Mastery. I wouldn't do, any of that other kind of stuff while you're going through nursing school. And I'm aware of the fact that HESI and ATI and Kaplan all have like these ongoing tests, as you're, to kind of like benchmarks as you're going through school. I'm not talking about those ones. Usually schools incorporate that into their curriculum. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about extra stuff that people generically buy as part of their NCLEX prep strategy, right? That's, I think, where you need to spend most of your money and time. I will always recommend someone goes to the Mark Klimek review, and it doesn't matter whether it's Trevor or whether it's one of the other instructors or whether it's Mark himself in Ohio. Like, go to a live review. That, I think, is going to yield exceedingly great results for you. And you need someone to help you winnow the important from the unimportant. And I don't think there's anybody, as far as like NCLEX prep material goes, who does that better than Klimek reviews. And again, that's my endorsement, if you will. You can go back into December's episodes where I talk, and I have a 3-part interview with Mark Klimek, and you'll find out why. So, no, I don't think you should get UWorld. No, I don't think you should get other NCLEX prep resources other than maybe the Saunders book to get you through school. Those NCLEX resources should be saved for when you are actually preparing for the NCLEX. Otherwise, I think you're distracting yourself, because nursing school is not the same as the NCLEX. And nursing school is not the same as the profession. Like, I don't look at NCLEX prep resources while I'm in my job, because my job is different from NCLEX prep. My job is also different from nursing school, because nursing school is teaching me how to be a novice generalist, as Mark Klimek would say. So, no, don't buy UWorld, don't buy any of those other specific NCLEX prep things until you are ready to get to study for the NCLEX. you should be focusing on nursing school resources before NCLEX Prep resources. So if you're in your first year, skip eWorld, don't do any of that stuff. Just focus on school. Focus on making it through school, because that's what you need to be doing, and you need to be making sure that you are focusing all of your energy and all of your mental capacity on that, not on looking forward to something that is a year or more ahead. Hammer the metal on the forge, on the anvil in front of you. Focus on what's in front of you, not dreaming about what's going to happen in a year to 3 years away. So don't do that. That's my advice on that one. And after this commercial, we'll come back and we'll jump right into new grad and NCLEX Prep issues. Patience. What is that? Who even has time for that? PIE is P-I-E. Patience in everything. It's a simple yet difficult, yet powerful thing to learn. Think about the last time you were impatient. What came of it? How patient am I with others? How patient am I with myself? How patient and kind am I with the trials and unexpected turns in life? Am I patient and fully aware of the blessings of each day? I've been given a gift, be it fruit or life. It's up to me to choose how to use it. This is a book of short essays on life through something as simple as pie. Here's Coletta reading Piology 101.
Piology 101, the synchronicity of pie in life. How awesome to ponder how our Creator has put our individual ingredients so carefully together. Yet we get to choose our finishing touches and the temperature settings of the day. Sometimes we're hot, sometimes we're not. Every day is spent forming our own creation of self. Some days we also form a pie. Our ingredients of the day can be mixed up, nutty and complicated, or just sweetly simple. Fruits grown out of even the best soil and conditions may become bruised, but even imperfect fruit can become a pie to savor. Life, as imperfect as it may be, has a multitude of savory and sweet bites in each new day. Pie in life, filled to the brim with the fillings of our choice, oozing and bubbling over, and just so beautifully messy. Pie in life, any pie or day can end in failure and be perfected on the next. Pie in life, presented in pieces and are just what is left over, or sometimes well presented, well-rounded as a whole. Pie in life are made up of a beautiful variety of spices and different tastes. Pie in life, overworking can make it too tough. Pie in life, tender care will always produce a perfect foundation. Pie in life, dig in while it's fresh. Share that creation.
Get your copy of The Pie Letters by Coletta Hewitt in softcover or ebook from thepieletters.com. That's thepieletters.com, and buy your copy in softcover or ebook from thepieletters.com, or you can go to Amazon. Love you all. God bless.
You're listening to the Real Talk School of Nursing podcast.
I still love that commercial. I really do. Like it just came together really well. So anyway, sorry about that. So let's talk about new grad and NCLEX Prep issues. So first up, are some resources harder than the NCLEX? And let me attack it in this way. So resources like nursing.com or NRSNG. I can't get that out of my lexicon. So nursing.com for NCLEX Prep specifically, the language is different. The language that nursing.com uses in order to write their NCLEX Prep or their NCLEX question different, and John and his team write great questions. I mean, they really do. They have very good questions. They're complex, but they're written in a different language. The way that they state questions is simpler than the NCLEX. So the comparison I make is that, how is a technical manual different from a novel, and the way that you would write that. And I think nursing.com uses a little bit more novel type language, whereas the NCLEX is very technical manual type of things. UWorld, again, I have a very high opinion of UWorld, and I don't think any of them are harder than the NCLEX. I think because you are learning, if you do a sufficient job preparing for the NCLEX is going to seem simple by comparison when you think about your journey through NCLEX Prep. For if you're at the beginning of your NCLEX Prep and you're going through whatever resource you're using, and you're just like, you're constantly writing notes. You're like, oh, I didn't learn that. Oh, I didn't learn that. Oh, I don't know that medication. I don't know this condition. I don't know blah, 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 whatever it is. Like it's really hard. There's a steep learning curve. There's a lot of growth that happens at the beginning of that. And it can be a little bit painful. So, like your reaction to that information at the very beginning is one of difficulty, and by the time you've gotten to the NCLEX, many of the questions many of the questions that you're going to encounter at the beginning anyway might seem very simplistic, and once you get into those upper level questions, if you're getting just select all that apply questions, one SATA after another, the NCLEX is not going to seem simple. But if you continue to answer those questions correctly, or you're using good judgment, or you're not being distracted by some of the distractor information that, I've talked about a bunch in the show. So things like, if normal potassium level is 3.5 to 5.0, and the question has a 5.1 potassium level, and it is not saying that they are hyperkalemic. That's a distractor. That's a distractor. So as long as you understand what's happening with that stuff, I think it's really easy. I think the test can be easy. It still takes a lot of thought process. It's a very intense experience in a very short amount of time. So, that's what it's for. So I think what's important is that you remember that content is only one aspect of the exam. There's more to nursing school, and there's more of the NCLEX than just content. You have to understand the test as well. So one of the pieces of advice that I continue to give to people is that they go to the NCSBN website and do the tutorial a bunch of times, like a number of times. And, because the exam is pretty standard. The environment is pretty standard. But it's the people who are taking the test that's the most variable. Okay? And what do I mean that the exam is pretty standard? They have published a number of times in a number of different places that there are a normal distribution of types of questions. So of all of the different categories, you're going to get about 12 to 15% of these, and 12 to 15% of these, and 20% of these, and stuff like that. So your subject, the subject is going to be different, but the types of questions and the point of those questions is going to be a fairly standard distribution of those types of questions. So the standards, or so the exam is pretty standard. the environment. Everybody's going to have the, more or less the same computer, more or less the same cubicle, more or less the same headphones, more or less the same note page. So that experience is pretty standard. You're going to get, you're going to get the same briefing. You're going to get the same instructions from the people outside of the test. You're going to get the same search on the outside. You're going to get the same rules as far as getting up and going out of the hall in order to take a break. They all have the same exact rules for what you can take and what you can't take into, basically you can take nothing. Okay, so that's a standard rule. You should not be surprised by the fact that you can't have a piece of paper in your back pocket. And if you take it out during the test, you're going to get dismissed. Like, that should not be, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Like, that shouldn't happen. Okay, so those things are pretty standard. But that doesn't mean that you don't need to prepare for that. So I suggest that you go to the NCSBN website and do the tutorial a bunch of times while you're doing your NCLEX prep in order to get ready for that. The thing that you have to manage the most is you. You have to learn stress reaction management. You can't think while you are in panic mode. And it's okay to feel a little bit of stress. Stress keeps you sharp and it keeps you a little bit humble, but you need to manage it so you can think. I don't believe the test requires critical thinking. That's not how I think of it. I don't, everybody's critical thinking. Blah, I don't care. I think the test requires critical reading, which means you have to be in the state of mind to recognize what the question is actually asking you and then answer it. NRSNG or nursing.com, is, has the SimCLEX, which will also train you how to do SATA-like questions. I've talked about it before, but like SATA questions, like everybody else who'd been through nursing school, SATA questions are the bane of your existence. You hate them when you encounter them in nursing school. But for NCLEX, you know what a SATA question is? It's a reward of you doing well. If you get 40 NCLEX questions out of 75, or as Nurse K, like low end 90% of her questions were SATA questions. Like, yeah, well, okay, you're way smarter than I am. So, but that's the reward. So if you're getting tons of questions where you're like, I've never even heard of this before. Did I even go to nursing school? The kind of questions where you would, like, if you had gotten that kind of question, you would be completely justified in this is ridiculous, and then get up and walk away. You'd be completely justified. Don't do that, by the way. Don't. But SATA questions aren't to be dreaded, but looked forward to as a sign of your success. And the more you get, the better you're doing. So, are some resources harder than the NCLEX? No. I'm going to say no. And the reason I say no is because I think they're about the same as the NCLEX. What changes and what needs to be managed is you. You are what changes. At the beginning of your NCLEX prep, you don't know anything. Despite the fact that you've been through nursing school, you don't know anything. So you're going to discover a whole bunch, and that's what changes, is that you're going from ignorant, not really ignorant, but you know what I mean. You're going from not knowing a lot, and so it seems really, really hard, and then towards the end of your 4 to 6 week period of studying, things are going to seem a little bit easier, and then you're going to go into the NCLEX, and it might seem easy. The questions that you're going to get, the normal passing level questions you're going to get, are going to seem easy by comparison. You are going to continue to get questions that are outside the realm of that, and those will be very difficult. You are going to continue to get questions that are harder and harder, that statistically speaking, fewer and fewer people can answer correctly, and you're going to keep getting those until they get you to answer a question wrong. And that might be 2 questions, it might be 5 questions, it might be 10 questions, or it might be 45 questions in Nurse K's case. And by the way, yes, we are trying to coordinate our schedules in order to get her back for a second interview, where we will talk more about nursing school and her NCLEX Prep experience and all that kind of fun stuff. She was fantastic to have in the studio. But that's what I think you should be doing or that's how I think you should be thinking about NCLEX Prep resources. It doesn't really matter if it's harder or easier. What changes is you, and what needs to grow is you. So let's take a quick break. We'll do a quick commercial. We're at about 15 minutes per segment. So let's take a quick break, and then let's continue on, and we'll finish up new grad and NCLEX Prep segments. Okay? Talk to you soon. Are you tired of the same old badge reel? Do you have to wear the same scrub color as everyone else? Are your undershirts boring and kinda stinky after wearing your lucky shirt through 5 in a row 12s? You can wear your personality in other ways. Go to badgeladybynerdwear.com and check out her massive selection. Tell her you're a Real Talk School of Nursing podcast listener and use the promo code REALTALK20 at checkout for 20% off your order. Expect 2 to 3 weeks for custom orders and a few days depending on her actual job schedule, because she's a real nurse, to get your badges made and shipped. I know you'll treat her like your best friend at clinicals, so go to badgeladybynerdwear.com and order the coolest custom and original badge reels out there. Go to badgeladybynerdwear.com and use the promo code REALTALK20 for 20% off your order. That's badgeladybynerdwear.com and use the promo code REALTALK20 for 20% off your order. Does anybody else continue to whistle with that song? I just love that background noise, or I love that background music to that. I just whistle along with it every time. All right, so on to second question for our NCLEX and new grad section. What's the best time to do the last assessment before the NCLEX? What should I be doing the last week before the NCLEX? So here's my advice, and I've talked about it, I think, before. Maybe I haven't. But, okay, in the last week, no questions, no more questions, no more assessments. If you've taken your assessment and they've gone well, trust in that, okay? So about a week prior to your NCLEX date, so let's say let's say your NCLEX date is next Friday. So look at the actual dates. So I think next Friday is what? The 28th? So let's say your NCLEX prep or your NCLEX appointment is 8 o'clock in the morning on Friday, February 28th. You should do your assessment today and then not do any more questions or any more assessments. And you can review questions and you can make sure that you understand why you got the ones wrong that you did. Particularly, again, if you're using UWorld, which I have a very high opinion of, because you can filter your results into correct and incorrect and then sort by percentage. So, that's important, because if you get a question wrong that 90% of others get correct, you have to know why. But regardless of what service you're using or what books you buy, review to your heart's content. Okay? Don't waste time. Don't waste energy, I should say. Don't waste energy on more assessments. And I say that because let's say an assessment goes badly or goes worse than you would have liked, and that kind of pulls the rug out from underneath your feet. That is going to do such a number, I think, on your mental tranquility that it's really going to be very, very difficult for you. So in preparation for the last week, make or sort out flashcards to review things like drug classes, adverse effects of the classes, basic lab values, that kind of thing. Very simple, very basic information, stuff that you already know. And that's just to keep you fresh. And that's I view that kind of thing as stress reduction rather than actual studying. So you can do all that kind of stuff, but you should not be doing any more questions. Review, and no more assessments. Okay, think of NCLEX Prep like a marathon. Okay, the question is, like, do you pour on the miles the weekend prior to your race? So if you have a marathon on Monday morning, do you go out and run 4 marathons over the weekend to make sure that you're ready for your marathon? No, you don't. Don't do that. Okay? You take it easy and make sure that you're healthy and you're, in good mental condition to perform to your maximum capability. So, in the last week prior to the NCLEX, you should relax. You should be getting more sleep. You should increase your sleep, and you should get on to you should establish some really good sleep hygiene, meaning that you are going to bed at the same time, that you are getting up at the same time in preparation for that test. So if your test is at 8 o'clock in the morning and you have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning in order to get there, you should be getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning every morning for that last week, whether it's a weekday or a weekend, to make sure that you are ready and that you're establishing that routine. Okay? So, relax, get some sleep. Go to the NCSBN website and look up the tutorial. Again, go through that several times so there are no surprises and you can just get through that and get to the questions. Okay? The last few days isn't the time to race a marathon just to make sure that you can before you actually race your marathon. Okay? Don't do that. So, next question, and this is much like one a few weeks ago. I've said that this is an issue that comes up over and over and over again, and this one's a little bit different because this is more new grad or just beyond the scope of new grad rather than being someone in orientation like a few weeks ago. So I'll just read it. I hate nursing. I never thought I would say that, but after a year and a half of working as a floor RN, I know this crap is not for me. This job will suck the life out of you. Your emotional, physical, and mental health will suffer along with your family life. I have finally decided to leave the bedside, and I never felt so happy. At only 25, I felt like I was going to be stuck in the state for the rest of my working life, but I found the courage to finally make the decision that saved my health and my marriage. I went into nursing with the intention of helping people and being the one to make a difference to those who may feel helpless. All my intentions were quickly shut down when I started working on the floor. We deal with some unappreciative, sarcastic, rude, and egotistical patients, family members, physicians, coworkers, and managers. There is no care in nursing, just bottom line concerns. So, let me break this down a little bit because that's a lot to digest. So you worked on the floor, or this person worked on the floor for 1.5 years. And if you're a new grad and you've been on your floor for 9 months, maybe if you're feeling similar, or you can relate in part to this article. I did. That's one of the reasons it caught my eyes, because after my preceptorship, I felt kind of similar. I was like, this is not for me, so I could relate to, I really could. I can really relate to some of this stuff. I really can. But before you leave nursing altogether, I don't know, maybe try a different unit. Just an idea. Before you decide to leave this very in-demand profession, before you leave this kind of profession altogether, maybe try something a little bit different. Maybe try applying to a different unit within that same hospital. I have 2 units in my hospital that couldn't be more different. And what's really funny is they're both on the same floor. They're just different units on that same floor. So I work in the ER. You guys know that. And I give report to these nurses on each floor very regularly. On one floor, nurses will slow play admissions. They're rude and get snippy while they're getting report. There will be 4 or 5 empty rooms on their floor, and not just empty, but clean empty rooms, right? There will be 4 or 5 clean and empty rooms, and then the one dirty one, which is the one that my patient will get assigned to after it's been cleaned. So that could be an hour, hour and a half. So, I mean, that's the kind of floor I'm talking about. Okay. And then they get mad and complain when ER nurses can't answer every dumb question they have when when the nurse giving a report got the patient 3 minutes before calling, because, and why might that be? Because we get them, and then the floor will say, well, we can't take it until after shift change. Well, we're going through a shift change too. So the people who are getting the patient are also going through shift change, and so they get this patient that they haven't had for the last 8 hours, and so they've had them for 3 minutes, and they say, okay, we'll call after shift change, and then we call them, and they're mad when we can't answer every single question. It's kind of weird, right? Like, this person has been ready for admission for 2 hours. We could have given you report and send this patient up, and then you would have and then that nurse would have 2 hours with the patient, and do like a bedside report. That would be a normal good thing to do. The patient's been ready for hours, but because they slow played the admission, that kind of stuff happens. So, like, there's even a few docs who work on this floor see the excuses and the games that they play. The other unit, to compare, is filled with seemingly very happy nurses who often call me to get report and ask questions after they've looked up the patient. What an incredible difference between those things, where I have to wait for 2 hours or more to give report to this person who seems snippy and rude and blah, 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 whatever. Versus, this nurse gets informed by their charge that they're going to get this patient, and so that person goes into that person's chart and starts looking them up, looking at what I've done, look at the notes that I've written, and seeing all the medications, see what's being run now, that kind of thing. And they never ask. This floor, I am so happy to say that they never ask if the patient self-ambulates to the bathroom. Like, it's the only thing that they care about. As far as I'm concerned, they are an overall joy to deal with. They've even sent down nurses or, patient care techs, PCTs, when transportation aides get behind, to come and get patients. The point is that you can be on the greatest floor in the best hospital in the world, but if you work with people who aren't supportive or helpful, people who are snide and rude, it can make work life absolutely hell. That's your own little slice of hell, and some of it can be dealt with. Kinda. Okay? I'm former military, again, you guys know that, and I have been in I'm sorry to say, I've been in some shitty places around the world, but the people around me were absolutely amazing, which made that crappy place kinda great. So maybe it's not nursing. So this is the message to this person. Maybe it's not nursing, and maybe it's not the floor, or maybe it's not bedside nursing. Maybe it's the people that you work with. Maybe it's the culture. And maybe, after a year and a half of dealing with it, maybe it's you. So I applaud the reader, taking action, and I applaud the person who, takes action and tries to do something to switch things up because they're not happy. But to say that nursing sucks and I hate working the floor, isn't a mature or well thought out perspective to have. And I think that lacks a little bit of foresight. And I think that before you just say, give the middle finger on both hands to nursing in general, maybe switch jobs. Don't leave the profession. And if you are a nursing student and you hear someone say stuff like that, Don't be scared away by it, because there's tons of people who love nursing, and there's tons of people who are going to, go out of their way to help you. And there's tons of people who are interested in keeping good nurses around. The worst thing that you can do is be scared away by that kind of thing, because I think that's the exception. Despite the fact that I have an entire floor of that in my hospital, that will eventually go away, because eventually those people will retire or leave the profession. And again, maybe it's the people that they work with, and maybe it's the culture of that floor, maybe it's the management, and maybe it's that single person. So before we just say that nursing is bad, maybe we need to turn a mirror onto ourselves and see if it's us. Maybe it's me. And if other people seem to hate working with you, maybe you need to turn that mirror onto yourself and ask yourself some really hard questions. That's all I'm saying. All right, so let's do another quick break. So we're at about an hour, I think, now. So let's do a quick break, and then I'll come back and we'll finish up the NCLEX Prep and new grad issue stuff, and then we'll do the announcement for the Yeti cooler and bag giveaway and do all the rules for that. Okay? All right, let's come back in just a minute. Sponsoring this segment of the Real Talk School of Nursing podcast is Mike and Bonnie's Snow Shovel and Driveway Salt Emporium. When the temperature drops fast and rain turns to ice in your driveway, which is then covered by 6 inches of snow, you need 2 things: snow shovels and driveway salt. Luckily, there's one place you can get both of those things. They have everything. They have all of your favorite trenchers, cleanouts, border spades, cap rocks, post hole diggers, grain scoops, and hand trowels. That's right. Everyone from the toddler in a sandbox to the fashionable urbanite and the sudden-hardened farmer. Mike and Bonnie's Snow Shovel and Driveway Salt Emporium can cover all of your scooping, transferring, farming, digging, and shoveling needs. So, stop by Mike and Bonnie's Snow Shovel and Driveway Salt Emporium off Route 44, where the only thing that's deeper than the holes you can dig with their great shovels is their discounts. Bring your receipt from Nick's Horseless Diner and get an extra 5% off of your purchase. Oh, wait, this just in from Stuffy's, where all the food is served by waiters and waitresses on horseback, that if you bring your hoofprint marked placemats, you can get an extra 10% off of your purchase. I asked if this was in addition to the 10% you get off for being a Real Talk School of Nursing podcast listener, and all I got in response was... I'm not entirely sure what that means, so let's get back to the show. So this is kind of the letter I've been building up to. So a few weeks ago, we dealt with the new grad nurse who had been in orientation 10 or 15 shifts and still hadn't adjusted and was thinking about quitting. The last writer, the last segment here kind of leads up to this one. So I'll just start reading. I passed my NCLEX in July and began my career as a nurse in August. I started out in an inpatient cardiac step-down unit, which I think is pretty cool. I absolutely hated it. I couldn't keep up. I talked to management about it, and they said I was doing great. I'm not doing great. I could go days without seeing my young kids. I had legitimate panic attacks before work and made mistakes constantly. I berated myself for it and ultimately went PRN with 8-hour shifts, which helped. I got a new job as a dialysis nurse in an outpatient clinic, and I thought I'd be better off, less hurried. It's still so stressful. Again, I find myself having panic attacks. I make mistakes due to being hurried. I have spoken to management, and again, they say I'm doing fine, and they want me to train for charge. I'm not even off orientation. My hours are so early and so long that I almost fall asleep driving to work. I fall asleep on the couch without the energy to do anything. I don't think I'm a nurse cut out for long shifts and busy patient care. Maybe I made a mistake going into nursing in the first place. I'm introverted, creative, and a perfectionist. I don't have much self-confidence, and I'm at the end of my rope with exhaustion. My family and friends keep saying it gets better, but I don't know if I can keep doing this just to hope I can be better. What can someone like me do? Research positions require years of experience. I miss writing projects and being part of the behind-the-scenes work. Does anyone feel like I do? Any advice? I don't want to be told to suck it up. I want options that I may not know of. I will burn myself out or hurt someone if I continue like this. Thank you for reading this far. I don't know what else, or I don't know who else I can reach out to. Well, I hate to say ask and ye shall receive, but some of the advice I'm going to give is, yeah, you kind of need to suck it up. But on the other side, give yourself a break. Be patient. Give yourself some grace. You're still in your first year of nursing. Probably some of you have heard something called imposter syndrome. And what that somebody might say that this is what, this is something that this new nurse, this new grad might be feeling, is that they're encountering imposter syndrome. And, others might explain it by saying that you're in a difficult field that demands a great deal of care and a ton of OJT. That's on the job training. I can sympathize with you not seeing family. But I'm sorry, that's nursing. Do you think that people in other fields who earn the same kind of money don't have to sacrifice time with their family in order to earn this great income? I mean, I just had like a financial planning meeting with my financial advisor, like a month ago or something like that. And even though I'm a numbers guy, I love that kind of stuff. I couldn't believe how much money I was making. Unbelievable amounts of money. Do I work hard for it? You bet I do. I work incredibly hard for it. And I drive a long way to get it. And, I work overnight, so there's a lot of times where I don't get to put my kids to bed, or I don't get to see them in the morning. There's tons of shifts where I am really struggling to fall asleep on the way home. I'm struggling to stay awake. That's, and that part of that's just the drive. I mean, I have a longer drive than probably most other people, but that's just how it is. And the first year of nursing is difficult. Making mistakes is part of learning and growing. If you're a perfectionist, this totally makes sense. Like if you're a perfectionist, if you are a self-identified perfectionist, you are going to make mistakes, and it's gonna drive you crazy. But that's part of learning. That's part of growing. You're gonna make mistakes. The nursing profession is complex. You have a dynamic and crazily complex patient in front of you that you can't get perfect. And you're going to have 3 to 6 of them. That's just the way it is. Like, this isn't nursing school. You have to let that perfectionist stuff let go. You have to let it go. So, a few things. Jettison your pride. It's the same thing I said a couple weeks ago. Jettison your pride. You are not going to be perfect. You're in a field where people who have done the same job on the same unit in the same hospital for 20 years, and they still discover how little they know every day. And you're not even off orientation, for the love of God. My goodness. The job takes a lot from you. It's going to. And again, do you think that other professions don't require a similar a similar level of hustle? Like, you are going to run around. Like, when you were on when you were in clinicals, like, did you not see the other nurses just wow around the unit? You want to hear that again? Wah, wah, wah. Like, they're crazy. I'm sorry that the panic attacks, I don't know what to do with. I really don't. Whether that's, a medication requirement or whether that's a mental shift that needs to happen, I don't know what to do about that. But making mistakes constantly. Okay. Who's making mistakes constantly? Everybody, especially while on orientation. You are going to make mistakes. And that's the only way that you can learn and grow. That's it. It's not this, again, I go back to this. Like, what did you think this profession was when you were going through school? When you went to your clinical experience, like, what did you think was going to happen? That once you graduate, everything was just going to be, flowers and sunshine and rainbows? No, you have complex patients. You have complex cases. You have, polypharmacy. You have multiple comorbidities. You have multiple conditions. You might have somebody who has cancer and Parkinson's. Not one or the other, both. And CHF. And be wheelchair bound. And decubitus ulcers. And they smoke. Like, you might have all of those things. And you're going to have to deal with it. Like, it's complex. Like, I worked sales before I became a nurse, and it required a lot of hustle. It required tons of work. No matter what you do as a professional, in order to earn the amount of money that we do as nurses, you're going to have to hustle. You have to. Now, that doesn't mean, if this person said that they went PRN, so that means that they, went to like a casual position. So meaning that they're not scheduled shifts. They can just pick up as they, for call-ins, or they can pick what shifts they're going to do. But you could be like a 0.6 rather than a 0.8. Some hospitals, not mine, but some hospitals do, or some hospital systems will do 0.5. Usually not less than 0.5 though, unless it's a casual position or a PRN position. But but you could go down. I mean, you could go down, like, if you're having similar issues, you could go down to a casual position. But I think that's, number one, you're not going to earn any benefits, which, could be a significant breaking point for you. But you could go down to a 0.6, and then you have time off in between. And then you can do other things. I think if you're a 0.6, that should leave you with enough time where you can do something else too. You could go and work at a blood donation clinic, or, something like that. I don't know. Whatever. You could go and do all that. There's other places for your skills as well. I don't know what else to do about this. Nursing is difficult. It's a difficult and complex and exhausting job that has great pay, very good benefits, and the rewards for when you do something right, when you bring someone back from the brink of death. It's worth it. I'm telling you right now, it's worth it. The flip side is, of jettisoning your pride, is to give yourself some grace. If you're dealing with this, I mean, for this writer, for this listener, you're not even off orientation. And if management at two different places and your preceptors at two different places think that your progress was appropriate, trust in that experience. Basically, like, if you came onto my unit and you were with me as a preceptor, and I said, I think you're doing fine. You are developing appropriately for the experience level that you have. And you're like, no. And I'm like, well, clearly you don't give a crap what I think. So I'm going to stop caring about you. Because, I mean, you're completely dismissing everything that I say, everything that I think, and my experience level. And if I say to you, I think you're doing well, and give yourself some grace, and for your experience level, I think you are doing an appropriate job, and you're safe. If you keep telling me no, like, okay, then I believe you. Then you're not. You're none of those things. Like, don't dismiss me. Don't dismiss your management. Don't dismiss your preceptors. If they think that you're doing well and your progress is appropriate, trust in their experience. And the last thing, and this is how I will finish everything off. Nursing, again, is a team sport. The question I'm going to ask you is, are you asking for help? If you aren't, you're missing one of the biggest pieces of being a nurse. That's it. Love you guys. I'm going to step away from the desk, step away from the mic for a minute here, and then I'll come back and we'll do the announcement for the Yeti draw. So just take a minute and I'll be right back. Okay, everybody, so here we go. Watch for a post this week about the Yeti giveaway. Pretty much the rules are going to be such that you just need to share the episode post. So each item will get 1 month to get entries in. So I will take entries on the first item until March 31st. Remember that this is the Yeti Hopper Flip 8. This is the Yeti Hopper Flip 12, which is just a little bit bigger, and the Yeti Camino Bag, which is great. We will do this on a first come, first serve format. So if you get your name drawn this round, you get to choose which one of those three you want. Here's how we're going to do it. Okay, I've tried to make this as simple and as pain-free as possible. So if you are on Facebook, if you are a Facebook follower and you are listening to the podcast right now, you have to like or follow the page. I know there's nothing really I can do about the whole like follow thing, but either way, if you like or follow the page, that's fine. You have to share the episode post. I will make sure that all this stuff is within, the getaway part is within the episode post. Okay. You need to tag us. You need to tag us at Real Talk Nursing. Okay. The problem is that for some of you, when you share a post, I can't see it because of your privacy rules, which is fine. I don't want to disturb your privacy, but if you want credit for sharing it, I have to see it. So you need to tag me at Real Talk Nursing. I also want you to use the hashtag Real Talk Nursing. And lastly, this is one of the most important parts. You need to tag 2 friends. Yes, I know I'm hesitant about tagging friends and stuff like that as well for basically anything, but these are $200 coolers. So tagging 2 friends is probably worth it. So again, if you're on Facebook, like and follow the page, share the episode post, tag us at Real Talk Nursing, use the hashtag Real Talk Nursing, and tag 2 friends. Okay? If you are on Instagram, you have to follow us on Instagram. You have to share the post to your story. Okay? But you can't just do that because those story posts kind of go away very quickly. So I want you to post the cooler pics to your feed. And some people know how to do that. I don't, because I'm a social media moron. So post the cooler pics to your feed. Tag me at Real Talk Nursing. Use the hashtag Real Talk Nursing, and tag 2 friends. So again, if you are on Instagram, You have to be a follower. You have to share the episode post on your story. You have to post the cooler pics to your feed. So on your normal feed that's permanent, not the story that will expire after a couple days. So you post the cooler pics to your feed, tag us at Real Talk Nursing, and use the hashtag Real Talk Nursing, and then tag 2 friends as well in that same post. That will enter you to win. And again, I will keep entries open until March 31st for this round with the coolers, the cooler and bag round. Okay, so we're going to do 3 rounds. We're going to do basically 1 month each for each of the drawings. And this first round, I will continue to take entries until March 31st, until basically the end of the day on March 31st. So, thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Have a great week, and talk to you soon. This Real Talk School of Nursing podcast is a Real Talk production. This podcast is dedicated in loving memory of my brother, First Lieutenant Justin Smith, Blood and Steel.
Sic semper tyrannis, facta non verba.
Good night, Steve Cannon. Wherever you are. Annyeong kasayo. Now you go home.
If you like the show, you can support us directly at www.patreon.com/realtalknursing and gain benefits such as early content, shout-outs, special swag, and more. You should write in to realtalknursing@gmail.com or use Facebook Messenger or contact us through Instagram or Twitter to share your experiences, ask questions, and give your feedback. Thank you for supporting our friends, affiliates, and sponsors. Thank you as well to everyone who started following us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. More listeners means more and better shows. Make sure to share the show with your classmates and especially those underclassmen. Let's give a hand up to those who are coming behind us. If you're new, welcome to our community of fun, engaged, and supportive nursing students and nurses. Don't forget to reach out and tell us if you have any announcements for graduations, good grades, difficult tests, friends you want to congratulate, and your announcement will be featured on our show. If you like the show, the Real Talk School of Nursing podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Libsyn Web Player, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. So, go to wherever you download podcasts, subscribe, rate us, review us, write into the show, and smash that subscribe button. Remember, leave only 5-star reviews because that's the only ratings that count to get us noticed by more nursing students.
The Real Talk School of Nursing podcast is a holy moly, I can't believe you're still listening to this podcast.